makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In today's episode, I have the pleasure of speaking with Stefani Havel. Stefani is the CEO of Sales Strategy Network. She excels in coaching professionals to improve their sales skills and leadership. Stefani helps her client achieve top performance and personal growth. She is known for her engaging speaking style and effective strategies in the sales market. Good morning, Stefani. Thank you so much for giving me that chance to have this conversation with you. I am so excited to talk about sales. I love sales. So before we get started, can you share a bit about your background and what led you to specialize in sales strategy and leadership development?
Yes, thank you, Nagelia, and it's so great to be here. So I tell people I've been in competitive sales for over 5 decades. So yes, I've been selling since I was 6 years old. I come from a long line of family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather was an Italian immigrant and had a truck farm. And so my job was, along with my brothers and my sister, we had to go to the farm and, in the spring we would plant the vegetables. And then in the summer we would have to, pick the vegetables and then we would bring them to market. And so every week in the summer, I'm, in the United States and central Midwest. And so every summer we would have farmers market. So my job was to help my grandfather sell the vegetables. And we really, the goal was to get rid of them because when we brought them there, we didn't want to have to bring them back. It's a lot of work to pack them up and bring them to market. So I learned to the more I sold, the less work I had to do at the end of the day. So that's really kind of how I got my start in sales, is when I was just a young girl watching my family. My mother was also an entrepreneur, owning a beauty salon. And so oftentimes in summers or Saturdays, I would go to her salon and help make appointments and watch her engage with her customers, right? And I learned that through my grandfather and my mom too in sales, that it's not just about a transaction, it's about a relationship. And so at a really young age, I learned that selling is relational. So my grandfather wasn't just selling the vegetables and the produce to the people. We would talk about recipes, so we'd be selling broccoli and Brussels sprouts or cauliflower or green peppers, and people who's going to buy that? Well, when we kind of gave them recipes, they're like, oh, if this little kid will eat broccoli, maybe my kid will eat broccoli. And so people would come back to our stands every week because they wanted to learn how they could prepare this produce for their family. So it was building a relationship. And that's how my grandfather built a successful business, because people would come to the market and they'd come specifically to our stand. They had 15 other stands they could choose from, but they liked ours because we built that relationship. And then I saw that with my mom as well when she was in her hair salon, doing people's hair and makeup and accessorizing. She, also was relational. How did they want their hairstyle? What was their lifestyle like? So she asked a lot of questions. So it was really great for me to learn that relationship skills. And so just kind of fast forward, growing up, I just always did. I was in sales. I was 25 years inside of corporate America, always in sales and leadership roles. And I loved it. And I was very successful. I led many high performance teams. I would also be in charge of kind of turning over teams or offices that were failing. And then in 2023, my corporate job was eliminated. And there was a downturn in the economy and the real estate market. And then it was just at that point that I just decided that I was going to take all of the experience that I had in my sales over 5 decades and start my own company. Because, as you and I were talking, we realized that people always need help with sales, right? Sales, it's an economic engine. It drives the train. It's the engine of the company driving that business. And there's ways, and so many people sometimes struggle, and I know we can talk more about it with sales, but I just really truly believe when I teach and train people about sales is going back to kind of my roots, and what I learned is making sales relational, not transactional. And that's what I teach with my company, the Sales Strategy Network. We talk sales strategies, But I like the word network because you leverage your network to increase your net worth. And so that's kind of
I love it.
yeah. So that's kind of what I talk about. It's just really building those relationships in your community, in your network, and then your net worth will grow.
When you talk about sales, I know that there's a lot of people in sales, but it's not for everyone because you have to be. I feel like if you are a salesperson, you have to love people. You have to love to talk to people. And I love what you said. It's not about just selling. It's more than that. It's about making a relationship with your clients and get to know them a little bit. They are humans just like you. And if you get to know them, you can sell them better, right? And I think I love that the fact with your grandpa, because that was the reason why when people come to that farmer market, they come to your grandpa because they know there's going to be more than just buying something. They are going to learn something and they are going to take something home that they feel proud of. And it's a conversation to remember forever, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and thank you for saying that. And you're right; it's because they're going to learn something, and the experience, right? That's what they came for, is the experience. It was not just buying it, but it was fun, and they remembered it. And again, that's why it was so successful. And and the one thing when you say about sales is loving people, but you also have to really love your product, love what you're selling, believe in what you do. Because again, the vegetables that we were selling, we took pride in them because we planted the seeds. We took, we had to water them, nurture them, clean them, package them. There was so much pride that went into all of the produce that we were selling at the market too. So that's where sometimes you have to ask yourself, when people are saying sales, do they really believe in themselves and the product that they're selling? Because that, again, too, is going to what makes you successful. So you have to, and not so much about loving the people, but loving what the value that you bring to the people with what you have to sell and offer.
So, and another word, what you are saying is that make sure that whatever you are going to sell, you love what you sell. Would you also say that try them? Like, for example, if you're going to go sell carrots, for example, I'm not saying to go love carrots, but at least you should try to know how it tastes, and so that you can better talk about it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Really understand it. And it's maybe just, some people say, well, maybe they have a product that they don't even personally use themselves, but they can always share a customer's testimony, right? Like, so, yeah, maybe I didn't really like cauliflower as a kid, but, or I always use an example like green peppers. I knew if my mom and dad might have been in a little bit of fight because my dad loves stuffed green peppers. So I knew if my mom wanted something or needed a favor, she would make stuffed green peppers because that would make my dad happy. So they had a great relationship, but she was smart. She knew that, sometimes they say the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So, so there's a lot of love, whether she liked the peppers or not. She knew that, her husband liked them. So so if you don't, like you said, if you don't love the carrots, but what the value that it brings to other people.
So what was that important? I know earlier you mentioned about your job was eliminated, but you have the choice to go back to apply for another corporate position and start over again. But you decided not to. So what was that important moment in your career that helped you shape your approach in sales and leadership to say, hey, I'm going to make that switch and start my own company?
Yeah. So like I said, I've always loved it. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So starting a company, being an entrepreneur, and I've always kind of had some side hustles, side businesses along the way. And I loved corporate America. My company treated me very well. I was in the financial sector and I learned a lot. And that's where I feel like I gained so much knowledge working inside a large corporation. It was very well organized. Everybody had a role and everybody was doing things. So I had a lot of knowledge that I gained working in corporate America, but I also felt a little restricted. You can see me or you hear me, I'm kind of more animated, the blonde hair and the sparkles and the energy. And sometimes my style of training and leadership maybe didn't quite fit into that box. And so I just decided that, I feel that I know that I have a really great skill, and I wanted to really just take those skills that I learned from growing up from my family and help other people understand. So it was more about being able to sell in a way that I felt was authentic to me and to how I wanted to grow my business. And so not being in that corporate box, starting my own company and being able to just sell and train and teach people in a way that I felt was really authentic, and teaching them to be them authentic self. Now, of course, I train people all the time that work in corporations and so forth, but it's just understanding that culture and being just really true and authentic to who you are. So it was just a great opportunity. It's been very hard to find jobs in the corporate world and doing what I love. And so that's why I thought maybe this was my time, being that I had a history in our family of entrepreneurs, that, this was my time to teach and train and just do it a way that worked for me.
Oh, what gap did you try to fill in the market when you decided to start a sales strategy network?
What gap? I think was just, I feel like, especially coming off of COVID, one of the other things I teach on is not only sales strategies, but a big part of sales strategies is communication and workplace communication. And I feel like a lot of that was lost during COVID because we didn't have that face-to-face contact. So one, people, again, had to learn how to communicate via a camera or their phone. But I feel like a lot of that communication skills is lost. And so I wanted to make sure that you can sell your product and you can have passion in it. But it just goes back to that. My original story is being able to have that relationship and be able to communicate to other people in a way so they can see your value, your passion, and so forth. So I feel like that's what's really been missing for a lot of people in that success in sales, is understanding how to communicate, getting back to talking to people face to face, or if your job is to talk to people via a camera or over the internet, how do you really understand people's behavior styles, personality styles, and how to effectively work with people that have a different personality or communication style. So that, that's another program that I learned actually when I was in corporate America. I did it a lot. It was a communication skills. And so just taking that now and helping people understand that, because sometimes people will say, oh, I'm not the most outgoing person, or I'm not super social. And you don't always have to be. I've had several people that were a little bit more introverted and reserved. But when they understood, they took the class in communication styles and realized how to communicate with people that were different than them, whether more extroverted or more introverted, they were really successful.
It's like a little bit of psychology in there.
Yes. Yeah. It's a behavior style. It's a program. And everybody is kind of wired differently, whether they're high energy or they're straight and to the point. Maybe they're just more analytical, data driven. They like to think about things a little bit. But understanding how your behavior style is and how that is of other people can really make you effective. And that's where, if you talk about like closing a gap, that's where I feel like people really need to understand their communication styles to be effective.
Earlier, you gave us a little bit of information about Sales Strategy Network. So can you go a little bit more deeper into the company, what exactly the company does, and then all the services? Because I know you have a lot within the company itself.
Yes, thank you for asking. Yeah, so I started it, and it's really what I like to do, Nagila, is tailor my products or my training to that company's needs. So whether you're a solopreneur, just starting your own business, and maybe you need some ideas on, because sometimes people have a really passion about their product, but they don't know how to sell it and they don't know how to market it. So that was something that I saw a lot of, is people might have a health and wellness, or they might have a boutique and they love all that stuff, but then they don't know how to market their business or how to gain customers. I think lead generation is something that I talk about a lot, because I feel like that's what a lot of new businesses struggle with is, you can buy, I can be on social media and buy all these great CRM programs, but if I don't have any customers, then how am I going to sell anything? So I talk a lot about lead generation and sales conversions. Or maybe some companies say, yeah, we have a lot of leads. A lot of people are calling and coming in, but we're not closing any of the deals. Yeah. Well, then again, that's where I might bring in the DISC behavior style program. And the DISC is the communication program. And so why are we not converting more of those leads that are coming in? What is our communication style? How are we relating to people? So I talk about, and then also leadership development. I'm so passionate about it because even though I was in corporate America for 25 years, I remember in my early days, I wanted to move up and get into management. And they'd say, well, you don't have any management experience. Okay, how do I get management? How do I get management experience? Or they'd say, well, go, I take some classes. And so I'd look in our company training programs about leadership skills or management skills, professional development. And they would say, well, you can't take this class because that's for managers. And so that was so frustrating to me. So I had to go outside of my corporation and get leadership development and management training. And so that's what it really helped me. But I had to take that initiative, buy the training, find the trainers, and do it all myself. And so I just know that there's a lot of people that sometimes a lot of corporations and companies have cut out sales training and products and programs. So that's where I can really help. Maybe just come in as a contract basis. If you've got a company and you're looking to grow and you don't have a sales training department, I could come in and work with you maybe a half day, a full day with your team. Maybe I come in once a month or once a quarter, once a year, and do some sales trainings. Or again, for that solopreneur, that's somebody that was like me, that really wants to gain some leadership development, professional development, maybe one day start their own company, but they don't know what to do or where to go. So all of that experience that I took not only from my own personal development, but everything that I learned in corporate America as well, and teach people all of those skills. So I have some online training classes. I do coaching one-on-one, but really my passion, my sweet spot is I love working with smaller companies and teams, or that one person maybe that's inside a company that really wants that personal and professional development, but it's just not getting it from their company. And that's where I can tailor it specifically to them, the industry that they're in, and then their behavior style. I talk to them about how do they like to, what's their communication style? What type of clients are they working with? And same thing for those companies. Let's really get the communication in place at their company. Get people all working together, collaborating and communicating with each other, and then taking that a step farther to how do we take this now to increase our sales, customer retention, etc. Whatever their company is needing, then that's where I can come in and help them.
So pretty much you can help just one person, but you can also go to a big corporation if needed.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't know how you do it, but I give you credit.
Well, when you did it, like I said, I've been doing it for so long. Yeah, with my family, working together, and then being in corporate kind of by myself, feeling siloed out a little bit. I knew what that was like. And then also just in leadership and management for, several years inside of corporate America, knew what it was like to lead teams. I was very successful in leading high performing teams. And then also individuals on my team were coming to me and saying, I love this. They're on a great team and they loved it, but they're very competitive and they want to know how they could pull ahead of the pack of those teams. And that's what's kind of fun, is going into a company and doing those trainings for those people. But maybe there's that one person who says, I want that little bit of an edge. I want to be the top salesperson in my company, or I love what I'm doing here, but in 3 or 5 years from now, I want to start my own company. And how do I do that? So sometimes it's just plucking that person aside out of that group and giving them some additional training.
And also, it's all become natural to you, right?
Yes. Yeah. Because I've lived it. I've breathed it. That's, 56 years of 50 years of selling. It's in my blood. It's absolutely in my blood. And I love it. And I love seeing people succeed and pouring into them and feeling that energy and that success of selling and having that achievement and accomplishment.
So could you discuss the unique challenges you face as a woman in a competitive field of sales?
Yes, good question. It's, there's part of it, like when I was in financial services, it was a very male dominated industry. And sometimes it was challenging because, whether we want to admit it or not, there's a certain look that you have, like when financial services or a male dominated industry. I mean, there were times when I would go into meetings and some of my male colleagues would say, okay, Stephanie, don't ask any questions. Just keep it quiet.
Wow.
Just, because they just wanted to get out of the meeting. I'm like, but I have questions. I'm a very curious person. And if I have an opportunity to be in front of senior leaders, I want to be able to learn from them. And I want to ask questions. I'm curious. And it's my belief that I believe that they appreciate that, right? Most people in those high level positions want to share their knowledge. So I just have learned, it was hard because sometimes I would just retract and I wouldn't speak my mind. I wouldn't say what I think, or maybe I would just not wear my red lipstick and my bright glasses and all my sparkles because felt I wouldn't be taken serious. But the longer you go and the more successful I was and being, as I mentioned earlier, very transparent and authentic to myself, I knew that if I was going to be successful in leading my team and selling to my clients, I needed to be authentic and just be who I was. And that's where I finally started finding success and why I wanted to start my own company, because I just want to teach people that, I understand I don't knock corporations because you do have to have systems and things in place for a large company to be effective. And so I learned, the importance of a system and a process. But I feel like where I bring the difference I bring or the challenges is just embracing your authentic self and just being who you are and confident. Again, we can always take feedback, right? Maybe there's some things that I do need to hone in on a little bit or polish up a little bit. But for the most part, I think I've just learned to just be true to who I am, learn communication styles and communicate with people effectively and be authentic. And I think that's just what's made me successful in having to overcome some of those challenges.
Can you explain the core strategies your network uses to drive growth and develop influential leaders?
What is the strategies? Is that what you asked?
Yes, your network use what are you using to actually help leaders grow?
Yeah, good question. Well, again, it does go back to the communication styles. One of the first things I always do is I have somebody do a DISC assessment, and that's that personality style test, because it's so important for them to understand themselves, how they communicate, not only to everyday communication, but to their clients and to their teams and so forth. So that's one thing that I always do with every client is let's get that personality style so that they understand their behavior style, how they're relating to other people, and then how they can best relate to other people. So that's, one of the first and foremost things. And then it really comes down to two is what are you passionate about and your why? Why are you in the field that you're in? Why are you selling what you're doing? Because again, that passion and desire is going to come out. I am passionate about helping people succeed and being successful in their sales careers. I know how it feels. I've been there. I've been in slumps in my sales. I've led teams that were not performing well, and it doesn't feel good. And so, but I think one of those things, and then also just really understanding your clients. So when I talk about making your network your net worth is, again, so many people feel like they have to have all the latest and greatest tools, but they're missing the point of their actual sphere of people right around them that can help them succeed. So one of the things I teach, and this is, kind of maybe some of the smaller companies or those one-to-one sales, the business to consumer sales is, can you explain what you do in 60 seconds or less? I go to so many networking events and I ask people what they do, and they'll talk for 5-10 minutes and I still don't really know.
Story.
And I don't even know what they do or what they sell or how I could help them. And so that's again where, not only your communication style, but how are you presenting? Do you really know what you offer? And then what about your network? Does your network know what you do? Your family, your partner, your spouse, your kids, your neighbors know what you do, because people want to, one of the things I always say is people always want to know a guy, right? If your car breaks down, anybody know a good car repair guy? We have to go to the doctor or get our hair cut, or or shopping, whatever. We like recommendations, and people love sharing about, oh, this great restaurant I went to, or this great clothing store, this great dentist, doctor, whatever. So if people know in your sphere what you do, number one, can you describe it? Can you communicate what you do? But then can also your network. So when somebody says, for me, it's, hey, gosh, my company's having this contest and it's a trip to Aruba. Hey, you should talk to my friend Stefani. She's a sales trainer. She can help you win that trip. And so it's not that you have to sell to your family and friends and throw up on them, but are they aware of what you do in the line of work that you're in so that they can refer you and recommend you? And so that is just a simple thing I feel so many people miss. And there's a lot of tools that you can do to leverage that, whether it's social media, email newsletters, websites, direct mail, all that kind of stuff. But really being confident in what it is that you sell, and can other people that are close to you promote you. I always use the example, my sister worked at a hospital, and I was in mortgages at the time, and she had a calendar on her desk and it had my business card in it. Her mouse pad was a calendar and had my business card in it. And she just knew that I could help people with housing, whether it was purchasing loans, refinancing, whatever it is. So anytime she heard anybody just talk about housing, she was like, oh, you got to call my sister.
I love it.
Can she help me with this? She goes, I know what, my sister's great. She can help you. So, because people want to do business with, this is the old adage we hear it 100 times. People want to do business with somebody that they know, like, and trust. Right? Well, who knows you and likes you and trusts you the most? Hopefully it's your family or your friends. So that's why my sister was confident in telling people, I know my sister, you're going to like her. I trust her. You can trust her. And so no, like, and trust. Absolutely. And so, because people are hesitant. Oh my gosh, I want to get a good deal on getting my car fixed, or I need to go to the dentist, but I'm afraid. Oh, you got to go to my dentist, right? So keeping yourself top of mind is very, very important. But also, again, the communication, because it all goes back to communication. And you also communicate what you do for your job and why do you do it? Like you said, you're the owner of your company. Why did you do it? What are you passionate about? What is your purpose? And people know that. I'm sure your staff knows what your purpose and your value, and your value and your vision and your mission, right? So, but if you can't relay your vision and values and mission, how is other people going to buy into your company or buy your services if you can't even communicate what that is?
I love it. Communication is the key. And I think that's something I learned since I was a kid. If you cannot communicate, you are going to have a lot of problems in school. Right? That was the number one thing.
Yes. Good comment for sure.
So you talk about proven mindset system. So what are the key components of your proven mindset system, and how does it facilitate breakthrough and self-limited beliefs?
Yeah. So one of the things, again, in sales is communication, but it's also confidence. I was just even listening to a podcast this morning is, again, the more confident you are in who you are as a person and the product that you sell, the more successful you will be. And, we can all lack confidence at times. We compare ourselves to other people in the industry. We compare to where we're at, like I'm just starting my sales company, right? I've been at it for a year. I can't compare myself to somebody who's owned their own company for 25 years. That comparison will kill you. And so one of the things I always teach people about is just kind of resiliency and confidence. And that's where that mindset comes in. And I talk about, when I was in college, my mom had died unexpectedly. And it was a very difficult time for me in my life because I came from a very close-knit family. And when that happened, I was in college and I didn't want to go back to school. I didn't want to try to find a job. I just was really feeling lost and hopeless and alone. And I just felt like I just didn't have any purpose anymore. Now that my mom, she was somebody that I always looked to for advice, whether it was on schools or relationships, friends, classes, anything. And so it was a conversation that I had with my dad, and my dad is a very strong, confident man. He was always in sales as well, so he knew the power of positive thinking or positive mindset. And so my dad helped me create a mindset system that I share with people, and it's using words and phrases of affirmation that align with the letters of your name. And so so like we could say like Nagelia, like N, your next level, your A is amazing. Your G is great. Your H is happy. Your I is inspiring. I got to see all the letters. L is a leader. Another I is inspirational, awesome, achiever, activator. So
How do you come up with that so fast?
well, I've been doing it for a long time. So for me, some of my words are, if you know how I spell my name is, I'm strong, talented, energetic, fierce, amazing, never quits, inspiring. I just take the letters of my name. And so it's just that quick mindset. Sometimes people have a really hard time with affirmations or feeling confident. We beat ourselves up. So I always tell people to don't listen to yourself. Start talking to yourself. Stop listening to doubts and fears and complaints in your heads. I'm not good enough. I'll never be this. I'll never be that. Talk words of truth and positivity over your life. And if it just has to be the letters of your name, coming up with words or phrases that align with your letters of your name, that just makes it a little easier, right? Because then it kind of forces you to think of words or phrases. And then, there's a lot of Stephanies out there, but they're not going to choose all the same words and phrases that I would for my name. And so it's just a quick little tool. One of the examples I have is, I did this with all of my teams. Anybody that I ever coach or manage or train, I do this when I go into companies. It's a fun little exercise is, and this is great for managers and leaders, is have your employees do this. Ask your employees who they are and how do they want to show up, right? So I had an employee and his name was Kevin. And so his K was kick ass. Well, we had to have a conversation one time and his performance was not up to par. He was having some challenges. And of course it was, it's this, it's that, it's the market, it's the people. It was everybody else. And so I said, who's Kevin? Tell me about you. Let's get out your name and tell me about who you are. And so, his first K. And I said, are you really kicking ass right now? Because I'm not seeing it. He's, come on, Steph, that's not fair. And I said, but you chose that word. You told me that is how you wanted to show up today. Right, Kevin? And then E, exceptional. Are you feeling exceptional right now? But when he started to repeat his words back to me, he's exceptional and he's victorious and he's, I forget, like invigorating and next level, right? He started saying all these words. I'm like, yes, that's the Kevin that I want to see. That's the Kevin who needs to show up every single day, kicking, right, on your business. And if you don't believe that, then you're not going to achieve, right? So that's the mindset. So it's just kind of a fun little thing that I do. I also have a Facebook page committed. It's over 1,000 people in the group. And we just share about daily affirmations. A lot of people will share their name affirmations. And so it's just, again, a kind of a fun exercise for people just to kind of get in that right mindset or confidence before we have to pick up the phone and make that call, or maybe we got to go into that meeting that's going to be a little difficult or stressful. I can tell myself, okay, Stephanie, you got this. You're strong, you're talented, you're energetic, you're fierce, amazing. I'm not quit, I'm inspired. I got this, right? And just going through that quick, it shifts your mind so quickly because when you start talking those words out loud, versus listening to all these doubts and fears in our head, when we start talking out loud about who we are and how we want to show up, it's an amazing transfer. You can see it in people's faces. I could even see when I was saying those words about you, your face lights up, right? We love hearing those positive things. And I barely know you, but I can tell those are some great attributes that you possess, right? Amazing. You're an achiever. You're running this great company. Your next level, right? Because we even talked about that. What's next? Right? So those words can describe you, but it's really ultimately like how you want to describe you. So that's when I talk about what my proven mindset is I encourage people to try it. Just words and phrases, that align with those letters of your name and make that who you're going to show up for, who you're going to show up, how you're going to show up every single day.
Can you share any quick win strategies that small businesses can implement to boost their sales immediately?
Oh, good question. I think, again, it just goes back to communication. What's the message you're communicating to your customers, to your business? It's everything. It's from how are you answering your phone? How are you treating your customers? What does your storefront look like? Whatever it is, how are you communicating what your business is about to your customers? And I think, again, I feel like a lot of people miss that. I just had a conversation with this about my dentist. You can't really sell when you're at the dentist, right? Because they have all this stuff in your mouth. But, my dentist made a point. He's a very successful dentist. And he says, before he ever comes in to meet a patient, before he starts to work at him, he sits down, he shakes their hand, and he looks them in the eye. Says, how are you today? Right? Just that quick little connection. So when you're when you're calling on that client or if they have a problem, how are you communicating? Is it, well, I'll call you back, and then nobody calls you back, or they don't respond to the emails? You run a business, right? Too. You're very efficient with your business. You send emails, you make phone calls. I could tell you are very passionate. This is a very well-run organization. The emails, you communicated. You are great at communication, from the very initial contact to the emails, to the phone calls, to the follow-up. It's very well, process and communication. So I would say, look at if you are a company and you feel like you're struggling, what is your communication? How are you what is the communication in the office, right? Are people getting along? Is there a healthy communication from the leadership to the staff? And then how are you communicating to your clients? Do your clients, going back to my experience on the farm, right? Or coming into my mom's beauty salon, how are you making people feel? What is their experience? Do they really feel the value? Maybe people say, well, our product's too high, or we don't have that good of a product, or, what is the experience? What is the value? And how are you communicating that to your customers? So I would say that's the number one thing, is communication. Look at how you're communicating about yourself and your company, and how is that being portrayed. And that, again, leads to that kind of what we talked about, that experience. What is the experience that they get? And how are you communicating that?
So how can anyone reach out to you and Sales Strategy Network?
Yes. My name's Stefani Havel. I'm on all the platforms, all the, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, you name it. But then you can just go to salesstrategynetwork.com. And I also have a lot of free resources. So if you're just curious about my mindset system or some sales tips or communication, I have a great guide on there on how you can create a 60-second commercial, the affirmation. So just salesstrategynetwork.com. And you can find all kinds of resources or get in touch with me. If you want to just book, sometimes just book a 30-minute call. If you say, I just kind of curious, I want to run a few things past you, I'm more than happy just to jump on a quick call, kind of see where you're at, and if there's opportunities that I can help you. Or maybe sometimes people just need a quick shot of motivation. Yeah. I'm happy to do that as well.
Well, thank you so much, Stefani, for giving me the chance to talk to you, especially about sales. I love sales, just so you know. That's something I do too often, but when I get to do it, it's something I feel like I get to talk to people and I get to know them in a way different way that I could possibly get to know them. And I'm the type of salesperson that like to know you before I sales you. I don't know if that makes sense. I will not sell you something if I don't know you. I feel like I need to know if what I'm going to sell you is going to serve you at any point in your life at all. And if I feel like it's not going to serve you at all, it's kind of sad. Even if you want to buy it, I will tell you, no, it's not good for you, and I will not sell it to you. So I'm probably not the best salesperson in the world, but I feel like people shouldn't buy things they have no use to. That's just me, because I don't buy things I don't have any use for. So I feel like I should do the same for other people. But I love the way you sell. I love your strategies, and I can relate a lot to you being in the farm, because I was raised in farm as well. So my grandpa was awesome, and I learned a lot when it's come to business from my grandpa and my mother. And it's kind of like me and you have a little bit of connection when it's come to that. And that was, I guess that's when I see you, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to interview her. She's about sales, and I want to know more. So It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. And I love what you said, though, too. That was a golden nugget about serving, right? So it's not always about, I mean, I love that. I'm going to have to steal that, actually. That's so good. It's not just about selling. It's about serving them. And again, that kind of, you're right, our experiences is how can we best serve people and they feel valued. And that's, what's so important. And yes, I do. I love sales, all things sales related. It's in my blood. It's my passion. So I appreciate the opportunity to share with you and your audiences today.
Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.